Stare right into it. That looks natural. Stare right into it.
We're putting the new picture of me and Madison on a new mug.
Yeah,
Good.
it's pretty special.
Cool.
We had a moment with that. And we sit at
We
Gene,
ready
we're
to go?
What did I say?
You
to
gonna
him?
open the
I go,
show or you want me to?
I sent him a
I
text
could
and
say,
go, we hang out.
welcome
without
to
you.
the 101, brought to you by Lincoln Wallace.
You do that, Jim.
Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
Not invited.
Welcome to the 101, brought to you by Lincoln Wallace.
It's
Yes,
so
that was
good
awesome.
to have Jim do that today. It's Michael Morris, Madison Gillespie. It is brought to you by Lincoln Wallace.
It is.
We got a lot of catch up to do today.
We do. It's
Well,
a
we're
lot's
bringing
going on.
on Jim.
Our plate is full.
Yeah, for a couple of reasons. One, it's just funny to have Jim on.
2, have you heard his voice?
Yeah, and 3, our guest boned us and is not showing up.
Yeah.
So we are going to have fun today, but there's a lot of things to catch up on.
There
right?
is.
Jim,
Yeah.
are you excited?
Yes, yay sports.
Yes.
Yay
Yay sports
sports.
for sure. Let's talk about this. Lincoln Wallace, we have decided we're going a different direction with the sponsor of this show.
As we should.
But not so much with the person,
Right.
Madison G. Gillespie.
That's right.
Madison, catch us up on what's going on.
Yeah, I decided to kind of take on a couple opportunities that are out of state with some clients, and it was a good opportunity for me to kind of just branch out and have a different element to kind of my career and my business. And it's not long term, it's temporary, but it's kind of hard to get away from this area, Ohio and Columbus, and have a show and kind of manage everything. So it's just easier to kind of step away we gone for about 3 or 4 months.
Which is perfect.
Yeah.
Because I can find other co-hosts. I can find other people that can kind of fill in. Like,
There's
take
going to
your
be a
place.
sense of relief that comes over you once this
Oh
happens.
my god! It's literally like trying to drag a whale to the beach to have you on the show. And
I've done it. It's awkward trying to do that.
It's such a compliment to have you every single week. Like first we lost Andrew, and that's let's say addition by subtraction. I mean, right?
Right.
Now we lose you, so this thing goes back to me staring at the back of Jim's head when a guest doesn't show, or having a guest on who gives me a lot of yes.
It
no
could be like the
answers.
Will Kane show, where you just sit there and just banter for 3 hours.
Well, listen. This is only an hour-long show, but when you have somebody going, "Yep, nope," that lasts forever.
Cool story, bro.
And that gets boring.
Yeah, I mean, Jim has to edit this thing when it's done.
Which probably takes you forever.
It takes me about 9 or 10 hours.
It's totally worth it. It takes us about 48 minutes to do it.
Especially all the prep time coming into it. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm exhausted by the time
My
the show
favorite is
starts.
when you have no notes and you're like, "Who are we talking to?"
And what are we talking
And you
about?
don't even write their name down.
Somebody goes, so, like, how often do you prepare for this? I'm like, you have no idea.
Yeah,
Because I don't.
extensive research.
That's right.
Sometimes I hand you notes just so you know who we're talking to.
Yeah. Well, if you ask around, I mean, some people don't think I even know what I'm talking about when I'm on the show anyway.
Well, let's discuss that as well, because that came up, I think it was last week, somebody came up to Rachel and said, "Why is he even on that show?" Not referring to me. I have to be here to get the conversation started. But why is Madison here? What does he know?
Not a lot.
Yeah. And that you're going to take that vast knowledge and go to Denver with it.
That's right, yeah. Man, if I listened to every person that said that, I wouldn't be doing much.
But let's talk about how exciting it is, because you are going to work out of state for a few months, and then, if you audition, maybe you can get your gig back here. But
That's right. I started a one-man band. I'm just traveling the country.
DJM.
DJM.
is going
It's
back
the
out
gift
to
that keeps
Denver.
on giving.
So you're going to go out there and you're going to work with a really big company, but you're working with them to kind of get them back on track.
Yep, exactly.
So this is not a negative. I don't want people. I thought we should talk about it just because it was interesting the discussions we've been having, and as you're able to branch out and do more, Lincoln Wallace really didn't fit anymore. That, what do I want to say? That structure wasn't going to work anymore.
Right.
But this is going to be. I think you're going to like this more because you're going to see how much more is out there.
Yep.
Yeah,
it's kind of being in Ohio has been awesome because of the relationships I have, and I've been able to use that to my advantage with some of my clients. But as I expand and as I talk to other people, there's opportunities that aren't just local, and when those come up, I feel like, why wouldn't I pursue them?
Did you turn some of those down to begin with?
Yeah, we have. Yep, for sure.
Because I know that you had a stake in a company. It was a sizable company, and then you were picking up more and more clients. It was even hard sometimes to get you, like, you'd have just enough time to do the show, and then you would literally sprint out.
yeah.
Like, I gotta go.
Like, where's Waldo?
Did you feel like you were, like, still kind of institutionalized? That's the way I used to phrase it. Like, I would wake up the same time every day, like the sales meetings on Monday, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of do that to yourself when you're starting out.
For sure. The last year has been, you really can't put it into words unless you've lived it. It's been a lot of highs, a lot of lows, like anything starting a business. And if I'm given an opportunity to go into a situation where I can expand my knowledge of just business in general, then I'm going to do it. And it doesn't necessarily coincide with some of the stuff that I'm done, but a lot of it does. And it's kind of cool because I'll be able to learn a lot. I'll get away a little bit, which will be nice. I mean, Denver's not all that bad, right? And some other areas that I'm going. So it's going to be a good thing. I think it's going to only help me be a better business person down the road, and I'll be able to learn a lot. So I'm going to get emotional and cry a lot while I'm out
Please
there.
do it on this show.
Oh, for sure.
Because you know what?
It'll be like that Michael Jordan crying face that just keeps.
It'll be the meme that just keeps going.
That'll be my next mug that Rachel does for me.
I'm trying to think of famous people from Denver. Jim, who's a famous Denver person?
John Denver.
That's true. That is true. Tim Tebow.
Yeah. Well, for a couple seasons.
Yeah.
He beat the Steelers.
And John Elway was famous in Denver.
True.
And he owned a business. He has a furniture store. You could be the next John Denver / John Elway.
I pretty much am. That's what it's coming. That's why I'm going out there.
Yeah.
They want to change my name and everything.
Yeah.
So
To
that's
Lincoln
not
Wallace Elway.
happening.
Now, will you keep that name or will you toss that aside?
It's gonna be Lance Mountaintop.
That's perfect. That's perfect for that area. You should. I feel like that's a business that should like sell seeds or something, or like you're a raisin guy.
Just strictly raisins. You can put them in everything.
I'm just. What will you call yourself? Because you have to. You've had
I
this
just told
name.
you, Lance Mountaintop.
I hope that's real because I want to make
Lance
T-shirts.
Top,
that
and
say
my
that.
middle name is Mountain.
Oh, that'll be like in parentheses, Lance Mountain.
It's like
Top.
my nickname within my made-up name.
I want to say this. In the year that we've been doing this, this is the best idea you've had business-wise. You've given some really good IT advice, accounting advice, but Lance Mountaintop, that's killing
It's
it.
next level stuff. I didn't want to release it on air, but now that it's out, I trademarked
So if there's
it.
if there's a trademark attorney out there, he's like, and if there's an attorney at all, because he was supposed to be here today. So
Then I'm going to get a dog and name him Lance Mountaintop Jr.
you've gone too far. You've already jumped the shark. Well, I thought it was good that we catch up because I think I want people to know moving forward that you did not get replaced for any other reason than you're not in the state.
Right. I'm just expanding right now. That's the way I look at it.
And you're excited about it.
Yeah, for sure. I am. I mean, anytime you make a change where it's not your home base or something that's familiar for you, it's going to be a little different. But it was different when I made all the changes I've made in the last year and a half, and I don't regret any of them at this point. So.
Well, you know what's funny is you said this is almost exactly a year. By the time this airs, I think it will be a year since we first sat down and talked about this.
Almost. It was because I met you at the end of July.
Yeah.
When we first met at Starbucks.
At a Starbucks, yep.
Yeah. What a magical moment that was.
We had all of our meetings at a Starbucks.
We did.
And Andrew was there, and
Speaking of Starbucks, the one on Henderson, I was meeting with a buddy this morning, and he told me he doesn't go over there anymore because some guy brought in his entire PC computer on like a wheel cart and set it up on the table with a full desktop computer. And I'm like, and some guy out in Seattle can't even use the bathroom unless he buys a coffee, but some dude can set up a home office.
did the guy
It's
bring
awesome.
you
Great
some
idea.
straws is the question. Because you can't have straws.
They were
at
metal
Starbucks.
straws.
Yeah.
I saw a meme.
That's
that had this
California,
guy-
right?
Yeah. This guy had a holster with like 17 straws in it, and he's like, I'm conceal and carrying in California.
Well, if you kill someone in Florida with those straws, it's okay. You're allowed to do that.
That's true. Do you think they'll put plastic wrappers on the outside of the paper straws?
Well, you just went next level. This is what happens when our guest does not show up.
Yeah, this is where we take it.
Okay, so you're going out to Denver where it's like almost anything goes out there, right? So they're going to get rid of straws. They're going to, pot is legal, all that kind of thing. That's going to be a whole new world for you.
It's a different world out there. It's funny. You'll just be walking down the street, and all of a sudden you're like, yep, it's everywhere.
Yeah. Well, have you ever been to the University of Colorado? I was there years ago, and it literally is one very dank university.
Dank.
It is terrible.
Yeah. Denver's so weird because I don't want to say a lot of misfits, but there's more people that aren't from there than that are from there. Like
Right.
everybody's just.
It's a
moving.
very
It's like
transient
Florida.
city.
It
Yeah.
is. Yeah. Super trendy. I'm gonna be a total hipster. I'm gonna get a man bun. It's gonna be wild.
Please send pictures. I'm going
I
to
will.
share that with the audience.
Hipster douchebag is what I wanted to call it.
Right. So Lance Mountaintop is going to go out there with his dog.
Lance Mountaintop Jr.
That's it. Yeah, that's the dogs.
So you're gonna take this time. You're gonna go on the road, and then do you think you're gonna come back?
Mm-hmm.
So you'll come back to Columbus because
Yeah.
you still have clients here.
I have clients here. My life's here. My condo's here. Everything. It's just an opportunity for me to go away, grow, my business, learn a lot, help a client out, and get some experience. And I can't stay stuck in one position if there's an opportunity to go and learn and grow.
And he's going to be gone about 4 months, so he'll be back in time. It'll be your Christmas gift.
Yep, that's
Oh
right.
my God.
And I'm gonna come back. I want to try to come back once a month. That's the plan right now. Because as much as it'll be nice to be out there and stuff, I still have a lot going on here.
You still have a few clients anyway that
Mhm.
are Columbus only, right?
Yeah, correct.
Like
Yeah.
Ping. Ping's not gonna go.
Ping.
She's not gonna open. In
She's
Denver.
actually moving her whole practice out there.
Okay.
It doesn't
Can't
make
wait.
sense financially, but just kidding, Ping.
You should go do that show with her out there.
I should.
Just give me a break.
Yeah. I'm gonna start my own show, Lance Mountaintop.
I think this show is gonna be brought to you by Lance Mountaintop.
It should be. Oh
Um,
man.
So we've kind of covered that you're leaving, covered that Jim is here, all the good times. But I want to cover the debate that we were having in the lobby,
Yeah.
okay? Or in our green room, I should say. OSU, do you want to kind of touch on what the topic
Yeah,
is?
I mean, you're the one that filled me in. I mean, I knew that these allegations came up, but I didn't realize that an hour ago, Urban. Well, yeah, go ahead.
Well, no. I was just going to say, when I was talking to you on the phone for our quote-unquote prep session before doing this show for someone that didn't come.
Like, what's up, brah?
Yeah, I get this notification about Urban Meyer, blah blah blah, and so I kind of ignore it because I'm thinking it's one of those
Whatever.
preseason ranking deals. But you actually have the article. Go ahead and read it.
Yeah, this is on Bleacher Report. Ohio State head football coach Urban Meyer reportedly had knowledge of domestic abuse allegations against former wide receiver coach Zach Smith in 2015. And then it goes on to say Murphy wrote that he obtained, I guess Brett Murphy, the insider that broke this, obtained text messages, it sounds like from Smith's ex-wife, Courtney, and she stated that Meyer's wife and the wives of other Ohio State coaches knew. And then the text show that Meyer knew about the situation. Courtney Smith added all the coaches' wives knew. They all did, every single one of them.
Okay, so our debate was not right and wrong,
No.
or the situation at all. Here's what I was looking at as a business person. All right, Urban Meyer is basically the CEO of Ohio State football. So my question in the room to Jim, to Rachel, and to Madison was, what is the right thing to do? Is he supposed to report that to the university and let them take all those steps because then it becomes public?
Go to the compliance office, in other words, and Gene Smith, the athletics director.
Yep.
So do that. Or does he say, I don't know, and let the course of, or the nature take its course, and then they find out that he knew about it, which is what's happened.
Right.
Because this is the way I looked at it. Either way, he can't win. Right? So if I'm an HR
Well, it's going to
person,
blow up on social media and the news and everything,
Right.
no matter if he admits to knowing or if he admits to not knowing, and then it comes out that he did know. Like, the media, my guess is he didn't want the media attached to it, so it's easier to just be like, no, I didn't know.
But it's a no-win situation until somebody asks you about it, and then you say, I don't know.
Yeah.
Right? And this kind of goes back to the bullying and harassing, the Me Too movement, right? If I know about it and I don't report it, am I the bad person? Right? We can all look at it. Jim, I know you're very sensitive about this kind of stuff. If you don't report it, you're the bad guy, right? But in this situation, what are you supposed to do? Because there's an HR kind of aspect to this, but there's also the this is a multi-million-dollar operation, and it can be brought down by one incident like this.
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to, like, I don't think it's comparable to some of the stuff with Penn State and some of the stuff with
Michigan State, Larry
yeah,
Nasser.
Larry Nasser, and even some stuff that's going on with Ohio State, right? Like, there's
Well, that's what we were supposed to be talking about today.
Right.
Was the Me Too movement has brought out this doctor, Larry Strauss, that he has since passed on, but these students former athletes are suing the university because they were sexually harassed or that kind of thing. And then we were on another morning show with Scott Smith, who was supposed to be here. And that morning, one of the co-hosts says, and it just happened they put the dive coach on leave. That day. For the same thing.
What is wrong with people?
Here's the thing. Ohio
just don't
State is like its
understand
own
this.
city, right?
Yeah.
So these
it
things
really
are going
is.
on. So my question is, how many people knew about what?
Right. Why is it on the Big Ten too?
I don't know. I think
weird.
at ACC it's a different lifestyle.
Yeah. I don't understand it.
But you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
Every department, every sports team has their own CEO. But they all kind of have one HR person, right? So if that's Gene Smith or whoever that is.
Yeah, the AD, Gene Smith, I would consider him the HR person.
But that's what I'm saying is there has to be somebody you go to. But when do you blow the whistle on that kind of thing? Because we can all sit back and
When
say...
do you or when should you? Because when you should, as soon as you hear about it. I mean, clearly the Zach Smith has had issues in the past, and there's no way, like, Urban knows everything about everything that's going on with Ohio State, so he knew what was going on, and he should have been gone. And that's, but then when you blow,
I
but
agree.
then it comes. I know what you're saying.
Wait, I'm going to say this. This is not to be critical of him, but all the things that happened at the Florida program, and then it's going on here. That's my point is,
Well, Aaron Hernandez was a stand-up guy.
well, as far as I know, he's not done anything wrong the last couple of months.
No,
But
He's on
I
my
wonder if
fantasy
Bill
team.
Belichick knew.
I still
well,
draft him.
that's another point. I mean, if you look at all this stuff that's going on, my point is if you are running an organization, at what point is it beneficial to you, right? You said they won the national championship 2014, 2015, whatever it was.
2014 season.
Yeah, so they win the national championship. Is it worth it for all the mess afterwards because all the money that was generated for the state, that's generated for the university, the attention that comes?
But doesn't honesty clear up a lot of mess?
You would think so.
Right. I mean, like, I know that you're trying to avoid it going to the mainstream media and social media and getting all the criticism from it. But in my opinion, if you would have just dealt with, and then it's a legal thing, he said, she said, but clearly this is beyond just he said this or she accused him of this because he had restrictions from his kids.
Right.
Right? And that's what ultimately got him in trouble was when he was dropping his daughter off. There was something, I don't know exactly the details, but that's what kind of blew it up to begin with.
Right.
And then that's how we're all finding out about it. So it's not like just a he said, she said at this point.
But there's photographic evidence at this point.
Yeah.
And they're saying, and this story's going to get bigger.
The text messages are the evidence, right?
Yes.
And you had said, Michael, that should Urban Meyer have, if he had gone and fired him a year and a half or 2 years ago, if he had gone and fired him then later he might be able to sue the university.
Well, you'd have to say why you let somebody
Yeah.
go. And again, so we've all worked in media for a long time, and we've all heard and seen things that have happened, and you got to go, I'm just going to pretend I didn't see that, right? Or I didn't hear
Right,
that.
exactly.
So again, it is when is the right time to say something?
In my 12 years of, well, actually going on like 14 or 15. In my 14 or 15 years of working, I had a scenario where this whole Me Too thing happened. And I saw it happen. And I went to HR. Because I don't care. I don't care. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, your actions, what you're doing, like, that's the problem. You give guys money and power, and they think they can do whatever they want to do. And look at Hollywood right now. Look at all the stuff that's happening at these big universities.
They had a CBS TV.
Right, just came out.
Yeah.
That's even worse
and
because
Julie-
they say there's nothing to hold him, and then they say, but wait a second, there's more evidence you got rid of, so we have to bring it back up. Right?
Yeah.
But again, money does
It's a
kind of
cons-
make some of these things go away.
It's a consistent theme with men with power. But it's not all just men either. Look at Michigan State. The athletic director, what's her name? Well, anyway, she was defending Nasser almost up into the point of the trial and of all of the girls talking about everything that happened. She was still defending him, like complete denial.
Right.
And because as soon as that breaks, then everybody turns selfish. And they go, well, I don't want anything to come in on me, rather than actually caring about the people, the victims. And I get goosebumps even telling this story, but go back and watch the ESPY Awards where all of the victims at Michigan State for Larry Nasser got up on stage.
They were all standing on stage. I
I'm
watched
like,
that.
I got my arms right now. I got goosebumps. It was the most powerful thing I've ever seen because who's the gymnastics girl that was
Allie Reed?
Yeah, she gave the last talk. Oh my gosh, it like sends chills down your spine. And she goes back and she goes, all of this could have been prevented from the beginning when the first victim turned him in, and it got washed over for 20 years. And now you have hundreds of girls whose lives have been changed forever. And that's pretty powerful, man.
Well, it goes back to the Ohio State case with this doctor. That was 1978 was the first reported issue. But think about what it would take to go to an HR director or athletic director in 1978 as a man to say that, right? And it gets swept under the rug. Yeah. When I first heard about this happening, I was actually watching CNN, and I saw someone that I know on the news talking about this, and I thought, this is going after that Jim Jordan guy, and I didn't quite understand it. I didn't realize the severity of what's happening. And now there's 14 people that we know that one of our clients is representing 14 of them from Ohio State. That's not all of them. That's just the ones that he has. So
what is, I mean, what culturally, like, how is this happening, like, in Hollywood, in major sports organizations, in big athletic billion-dollar universities? How does it get to that point? Is it just money and power, and this is what we've given people the ability to cover?
It's the leverage that somebody has over someone else. So, for example, the Dallas Mavericks, they promoted a guy who they were the first ones to hire, somebody of the different ethnicity than white to be their GM.
Right.
I don't mean the only one, but I'm trying to remember what his ethnicity was. But it was a big reach for them to do this. The Mavericks did really well, but he was sexually harassing all kinds of people. Like, it came out because Sports Illustrated puts the article out. Mark Cuban was one of the first ones when the Me Too thing happened that said this would never happen on my watch and all this. Well, it turns out he did the same thing.
And I think he handled it the right way, didn't he? He fired the guy right away and came out and was open and honest about it.
Well, they kind of buried it. He didn't know about it. So then when he did find out, he fired him. The only thing that took the sting off that Sports Illustrated article was that 2 weeks later, Mark Cuban was accused of the same thing. So, again...
So here's the flip side of it, too. And this is... I talked to my sister about some of this stuff, and there is an element, like, not... in some such... most of the times it's not. But there are elements, like, especially in Hollywood, where these actresses are going over to these guys' place at midnight to go over roles and stuff. Like, there's an element of, there's some naiveness there that
I don't think that's being naive. If somebody asked me to come over at midnight to
do a script reading,
what do you do in that situation if you're waitressing in Hollywood trying to
lines?
Like, there's two sides to it, but it's like 90-10, right? 90% is power and men taking advantage of these situations, and the other part of it is going with it. I mean, one time they were talking about how Harvey Weinstein was exposing himself to a female and talking about it talking on the phone about what he was doing, and he's like, it was horrible. I was listening to all these. I'm like, hang up the phone.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
And do you have unlimited minutes? I mean,
back then it was like $1 a minute.
Yeah.
It cost me $48 to listen to this. But yeah, it's wild, man.
But I want to get into after the break, more of the Hollywood stuff that's going on, because there's a lot that's coming out all at once, and it seems to be coming out on social media.
Yep.
Which I remember I had this conversation with my aunt has been an HR director for like 30 years. And the first thing they do is look at what back in the day was MySpace, your Facebook. But nobody's like really reading your tweets. But now with Roseanne getting fired for all the things she tweeted, now they're going through everybody's tweets, and at least every hour I'm seeing this guy said this guy said this.
Like back when they're like 17, saying, all these baseball
player who said it when he was 16 or 17, and now he's 23 and apologizing, and I'm not that kind of person anymore. But yeah, all the old tweets are going through.
Your heart to be saying some of that stuff.
First of all, I was trying to think of how many times I've tweeted something, and I'm looking back, and it's me retweeting something. It's not really. I'm not putting my own opinion there.
My posts are like from 2011 on Facebook, where I'm like, I sound like a total like.
Yeah, when you're like, Tiger's number
Go
one.
Tiger.
Tiger's coming.
I had one. I was like, not to bring this up again, but I just had one that was like DJing a wedding. Text it, and I'm like, who says that? It was like 2009. I'm like, I was
DJ and
text
making
it,
an
brah.
appearance.
DJ Madison, mixing and scratching.
I will say that's what I thought you were going to Denver to do.
To DJ.
was to
I
DJ.
should bring that back. People aren't ready for that.
DJ
man.
a lot of bar mitzvahs and some weddings.
I was blowing minds back then.
Yeah, you were. You're blowing mine right now, still talking about it. And this is going on 5 straight shows, so you always got to bring it up. I want to go ahead and cut to break though a little bit early because I want to really get into this Twitter and social media thing from the HR perspective because I think that's kind of where we're going today. You're listening to the 101. Oh, hold on, Jim's got something.
You're listening to the 101, brought to you by Lincoln Wallace.
So much
Boom.
better. All right, so I want to go into the Twitter thing about James Gunn. Do you know about that?
Mm-mm.
He got fired by Disney because he was tweeting. This is like 5 to 8 years.
Is his
ago.
brother Tommy?
Yes,
Tommy Gunn.
Tom E. Gunn.
Gotcha.
Anyway, he was tweeting things about like pedophilia jokes and like not that he was doing it, but he was just trying to shock people into what they were reading. So here he's got the Guardians of the Galaxy thing going on, and somebody shows it to them because after the Roseanne thing, some other group is going through, and that's why they're finding these ball players, and that's how it started all this. So I want to talk about if you're going to hire somebody, I want to know from your perspective and also Jim's perspective what you think if you see that stuff. I want more Jim because Jim's not hiring somebody, but
Right.
he has to work with them.
Right. Yeah.
You are responsible for hiring and firing people for other companies. I've tried to fire Rachel and she won't leave.
I've
It
noticed.
doesn't matter what she puts on.
Go on,
Facebook.
get out.
Get on.
She's like in the fetal position.
Oh my God.
Just so sleepy.
There's not enough oxygen back there. All right, Juan, when you're ready.
Yeah, sure, we're still recording. Oh, okay.
Oh.
I don't touch the mouse. The screen goes blank. Good.
She said.
We're still recording.
That's all.
All right.
You bring us back.
Welcome back to the 101, brought to you by Lincoln Wallace.
That was very professional.
Sounds
Thanks,
like the
Jim.
opening trailer to a movie
Yeah, I feel like
or Dateline. They were the
In a
perfect-
world where Lincoln Wallace sponsors a show.
in a world where Madison's leaving and our guest no-showed us. So I want to get back into the conversation we were having. We started talking about the LSU issue with Urban Meyer, and now it's been found out he knew about this assault charge against somebody, and then should you fire him? Should they not?
I got a question.
Sure.
How is Urban lying about this different than Trussell lying about what he lied about?
Well, let's ask Jim because Jim knows both ends.
No, about the
So
Jim
disappointing. He
Tressel.
says no.
About Jim Tressel and his situation when he found out about Tattoo Gate, I think is what the media was calling it, about players selling their gold pants or getting free tattoos.
For selling
And-
Rose Bowl tickets.
Yeah.
I could have bought Rose Bowl tickets
Yep.
at that tattoo place because he was a client of mine. And I was like, why do you have 30 Rose Bowl tickets? And why do I not have the money to stay in California for these Rose Bowl
And
tickets?
Coach Tressel covered it up. He didn't say anything about it at the time because the FBI was
But wasn't it
investigating.
all email-based,
These people were
too?
criminals.
Like there
was a lot of
that-
emails.
and he said that he had no contact about it.
Yeah, I don't remember all the details exactly, but I remember thinking at the time when the story first broke, I told my brother, or my mom, why didn't he just take Gene Smith and say, walk it down to the compliance office? He might
Well, that
still
ma-
be coach if he had done that.
That makes too much sense, Jim.
Yeah, you're right.
But what we were talking about before the break was money and power.
Yep, money and
I
power.
don't believe that Jim Tressel or any head coach keeps things out of the limelight because they're bad people. I
No.
think it is. This could cost us a national championship, and this could cost us millions of dollars. I mean, when you look at some of the things, if you go back to the mid '80s, the WWF was on trial for steroids, and the government wanted them. The case was for $1.5 million was what they were seeking. They had to spend $6 million to defend themselves. You know what I mean? So there's money that has to be spent for these trials. I know, Scott Smith, he's got 14 different people involved that are all going after the university. They're not doing it. They're not ever going to get their life back on track,
Right.
but this is their only means of reparation.
Right. And there's common themes too. I mean, like, you know, in the Hollywood side of stuff, it's a lot of sexual misconduct and stuff like that. And then in the football side of things, you have, you know, look at some of these players, like what Ray Rice did that really blew up that whole abuse topic because it was so in your face.
And it was on video.
It was
what
on
Ray
video,
Rice did was on
He's
video.
never played again.
No. And that
like,
was
never even got a chance. No one will even talk to him. But because it's on video, and because it's so brutal.
so. If I fully believe if that was not on video, Ray Rice would have been playing again.
Oh, yeah.
But it almost takes us as a culture to see something so blatant, like in your face, to be like, wow, that actually really happened.
Unlike Adrian Peterson, that was not
Right.
on video, but his
But-
son had to be, infant son or young son had to be
When you
taken to
hit
the
somebody
hospital.
with a
With a switch.
yeah, like
Yeah.
come on. I mean, my dad, I would always put like books in the back when I was about to get spanked.
I always put on that like riot gear, and I'm like, "Come at me, bro!" And my dad's like, "I'm gonna wait."
He's like, that's military enforced steel. Where did you get this?
I'll wait till you're sleeping. But when we're talking about these issues, again, what I was looking at is the Ray Rice thing. He never got a job again. Like, how could he ever? You couldn't go to McDonald's and get a job if someone looked that up and Googled your name, and that's what you did, right? So when it comes to Twitter and Facebook, we talk about it, the good aspects of it, because we like to use it to share all the shows we're creating, the content we're doing. But when it's the harmful stuff, like James Gunn, who is one of my favorite directors, directs my favorite franchise, the Guardians of the Galaxy, they dig up tweets from 5 to 6 years ago where he's trying to be outrageous, not so much funny, but just like kind of...
He's reaching. He's right. Like he's
yeah,
trying to.
but he was also in a different place in his life, is what he said.
He was trying to get noticed on Twitter.
Right, and I'm not defending
It's one way to do it.
anything he said, but when you work for Disney and someone finds it, they have like a zero tolerance, so they fire him immediately. Here's the funny part about it. Because this is happening so many times, and these people, the public is outraged, they want Disney to bring him back. They're having conversations to bring him back, right? So, is
Wow.
it you want the money
Right.
that comes with that franchise, that he's running the show, right?
That's all it is.
Well, it's got to be.
It's got to be because if somebody's doing something that creepy and that I don't know is not technically illegal, right?
He didn't do. You can
He
say
didn't-
you have freedom of speech.
Right.
The issue is why you say that in the first place. Why you share that. I have no
Clearly
idea.
something's not right upstairs, right? So the fact that you're bringing them back can only be money. Because you don't care that much if somebody's like that perverted and being that weird that your fan base is in uproar. Like your fan base should be like, we support that. The dude's a weirdo.
Have you ever
But
seen those movies? They're amazing.
They are amazing. Yeah, I agree.
I'm
Let's
not
bring. All
defending
right,
it.
let's bring him back.
All right.
They
that-
want
we
the money.
settled
They
that.
want the money.
We're gonna let that one go.
Okay.
Like with a football player who beats up a woman, hey, this guy's going to help us win a championship. So we got to, like Lawrence Phillips at Nebraska, the great running back. He didn't get punished for dragging his girlfriend down 3 flights of stairs and beating her up real bad. He got punished. I think he got suspended for 2 games.
Right.
A game against Sisters of the Poor and a game against Pacific or something like
Oklahoma
that.
State.
But
he was in the bowl game.
But they needed him for the bowl game. They needed him for the big games.
Yeah.
And the coach back then, Tom Osborne, lost a
became
little
a
bit of my
senator.
respect. Yeah,
He became
now
a
he's a senator.
But what I want to
And Lawrence Phillips couldn't get a job, even though Dick Vermeil gave him a chance in the NFL, and then that failed. I don't know what he's doing
But that's
now.
an
Maybe
example of
flipping
just
burgers.
a really no, he's dead now. He hung himself.
Oh, okay.
On
I
accident?
didn't know what he was doing.
Yes, by accident he hung himself.
That's happening a lot.
Well, he was in prison for the rest of his life.
Ah.
So, because he had committed a homicide in jail after committing a homicide to get in jail. But,
Sounds aggressive.
yeah,
Yes.
I mean, not a good guy.
No.
But what I want to talk about is the social media aspect of when you're posting all this stuff. I know that people look at it and they judge you on this, right? I want 2 different perspectives. I want to go with Jim first. Jim, if you saw somebody digging up old tweets or old MySpace or Facebook stuff that is just reprehensible, could you work with that person?
At first, I would probably be outraged, like most people would. Then I might think to myself, okay, let me dig deeper for the rest of the story, the complete story, and then make my decision on just not based on, oh my gosh, I'm outraged by all this. Just take that person and drop them off the face of the earth.
All right, little Maddie, you have to
Well, first-
hire this person. We'll get you a
Yeah.
personal take,
Okay,
but
yeah.
you're working for that big company in Denver. They're bringing you on as an outside resource. Are you digging through that stuff?
Yeah, I mean, my personal, my business would be the same kind of like answer, because if you're taking time, it's different. It's not different in some ways, but if you make a statement when you're in a conversation and it comes off, like whether it's racist or sexual or any of that situation, it could be a split of the moment. Like you say something, you're like, wow, I shouldn't have said that, right? But still, it kind of makes you question where it came from.
Right.
But if you're sitting down, and I can't stand keyboard warriors, right? All they do is get behind a keyboard, and they're the toughest guy in the room at that point.
Right.
And they're probably living in their parents' basement collecting tin cans.
Exactly.
But still doing curls, just in case they're going to fight.
Right, they're still jacked.
Yeah.
Yoked. Yoked. You're making a conscious effort to sit there and to think of something that's really messed up, right? Whether it be racist, whether it be, you said something about the Disney guy with pedophile, weird stuff like that. If you're doing that, there is zero excuse, because you're sitting there and typing it out.
Right.
So in my
it's not
opinion,
like you blurted it out and you go, wow.
No,
you spell check that.
Right. I didn't mean to write this paragraph of all this stuff that I was thinking in that moment, because whatever was going on in my life, whatever dark part of your heart that came from, it was real in that moment. And if I was hiring somebody, I wouldn't hire them. And if it was my own personal...
you don't have to tell them why you're not hiring them, right? You can just look at this and go, this is not for me.
It's not going to work out. See ya.
And then bye.
When I hired our first employee at Lincoln Wallace, I used social media. I went through probably 50 resumes, and I used social media on every single one of them. Because social media is something that you are making an effort to actually put this out for people to see, and you care about it. People post stuff on Instagram, and if they don't get a certain amount of likes, they remove it. So you can't tell me that when people put stuff on social media, they care what people are seeing. They're either starting an argument or a conversation, or they want attention. All of that matters when I'm hiring somebody, because you know what you're doing.
Right.
And I don't judge you for it, but I just don't want to work with you.
Here's what I don't get. Why don't you go back and look at that stuff? Because Trey Turner of the Nationals just got in trouble. This guy from the Brewers who was like on the All-Star team. During the All-Star break, he's in the game, and they dig up these old tweets. Now, it's from when he's 16 or 17 years old. Why are they still there? You know that you put that stuff out there. Like, I know when I'm sharing something on social media, I know what it is. And I'm going to
Why are you ever tweeting white power?
Well, it depends. I mean, I don't know where you're at when you're doing that. Actually, you should never,
ever do that. Why are you even doing that?
Well, you're hanging out with your friends. You're 15, 16 years old. You're trying to fit in with them. Who knows? Kind of an awkward age. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Maybe by the time you're 25, you're not like that anymore.
No, and I believe people...
That's why I said I would want to know the rest of the story. But if you're, like you said, Madison, a keyboard warrior, and you're just sitting there nonstop, day after day,
right,
tweeting out a bunch of garbage and nonsense and hatred from the dark part of your heart... I think that's a bit worse than someone who's like, okay, I'm not the same person I was when I was 15 years old. I'm 25 now or whatever, and I've changed. And you can look at my social media posts from since I was 21 or 22 and see that I've changed, or I was 18 or whatever.
Listen, there's a lot of guys in prison that have changed. Doesn't mean what they did doesn't still matter. Right?
Yeah, if they, murder, armed robbery, things
Michael
like
Jackson
that.
Said that.
Oh yeah, he's...
Or they found God in prison.
Yeah.
There's still nothing defensible about
There's not. But to answer your question, I would not hire them.
But you've done... So, I say that I would look at this stuff. But I did not, like, when Rachel came on board, I knew who she was, though. So I didn't look at her stuff.
Well, you'd been looking at her stuff for the last year before that, right?
Well, yeah. Well, I was printing it all off, and I was making a scrapbook.
She comes over for the interview, you just have pictures of her everywhere.
I'm like,
welcome, my child.
I know this is odd that I've made this into a quilt. But no, I think that is really important. That's not funny.
I made this into a quilt?
Yeah. Keeps me warm during the winter.
It only took me 80 hours.
Yeah.
No.
But again, I never thought about that. Like the first person I brought on board who went down in flames after 5 weeks, I knew that he didn't have anything going on because I knew him personally. I'm like, everything negative that I could know about him, I already knew about him for 10 years.
Right.
I did not know. I didn't think about that. But
right.
You have to think about that when you're hiring for somebody else.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's...
What's like the biggest red flag you saw? There had to be something where you're like, I can't even believe this is a person.
Actually, I got one, yeah. This guy sent his resume in, and this is not a joke. I counted on his profile pictures 47 straight selfies. Like
In a
not,
row?
Not just with well, like you have one. Sometimes you'll change your profile picture like once every 6 months or something, or 3 months, whatever it is. He was changing his profile picture like every 6 days with a different selfie, and I went through them, and there was no in between, like selfie, family, selfie, nephew, niece, whatever, friends. It was selfie, 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 and I'm swiping through it. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, I mean, if I need just a selfie taker, I could do. But I'm like,
Did he do it from different positions? You know when you see that like time lapse of the sun? Like, was he doing it from different angles? Why would you have that many selfies?
I have no idea. It was crazy.
Does that
I'm
make
like,
you think that somebody is like obsessed with themselves though?
yeah, there's something.
It's
going
not
on
the
there.
it's not the negativity thing. It's
No.
the obsession with your own head constantly. I think would be like, I don't even know that I can get your attention to work here today.
Was he doing it in different places?
I don't
or in
remember.
the same room,
Oh,
like his
that'd be
parents'
awesome.
basement?
It was the same bathroom picture, just
Ooh,
in the mirror
creepy.
selfie.
Yeah, that would be. I wouldn't hire someone if there's constant selfies in the bathroom. That I don't
I
like
mean, yeah, it was. Well, so yeah, I don't judge somebody for that, but you can kind of, like, really. I mean,
Do you remember when Borat came out? This
Oh,
is
yeah.
years ago, and the kid in there that was being
Very
extremely
nice.
racist. Nice. He was being extremely racist, and then he sued the movie company and said, "You're portraying me in a light. I was just joking. I've been drinking." And then they pulled up his MySpace page, and it's all Confederate flags. And he's like, "I will be dropping my suit right now." So again,
People are amazing.
social media.
I got to see that movie. I've never seen it.
Oh my god.
social media is a great accountability check for a lot of people. That 20 years ago they could say and do some of that stuff and nobody could catch them. But it's almost like an audit trail of everything that you.
I'm just amazed at what I see, like, talking about that Sacha Baron Cohen, that senator who was saying all kinds of horrible. He knew he was on a TV show, and it was going to be shared on social media,
He's
and it's
still
like,
saying-
I should resign. Like, there's no way around what I just did.
Oops.
There are more ways to track somebody's behavior and they're submitting to it. They're giving it to you for free.
Yeah,
I always think that's really odd,
it is.
but I think we hammer that into the ground. We're going to have to go to break.
We got to take a break.
Yeah, so Jimmy, send us the break, and we'll finish up.
You're listening to The 101, brought to you by Lincoln Wallace.
All right, where do we want to finish? Jimmy, what do we got? 9 minutes?
No, actually about 12, 13 minutes if we want.
Bitch.
What do you want to go for?
Or you can take 10 minutes and I can just put in more commercials.
Jim, what's a good idea? Where can we finish?
Oh my gosh, I have no idea. You're
You wanna
asking the
go
wrong
EA
guy.
Sports, or you want to talk about another?
I'm going to talk about a lighter topic.
No, I like when we get jerk.
We could talk about I don't know.
Well, when are you leaving? I think we gotta touch that though.
Yeah.
I don't want to beat that up.
No.
You'll be gone for approximately 4 months.
Yeah.
Try to come back on your private jet.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
That's some accountability.
Maybe if I'm getting life flighted.
That'd be awesome.
I have a little pin you can wear. The Life Flight folks gave me a couple of years ago. I have it at my desk. It's pretty cool.
Let's do it.
It keeps kicking me off the Wi-Fi.
Perfect.
Our IT guy's doing some.
Twitter.
He's got a backup system he's put in place, so if the Wi-Fi fails, the backup system will kick on. He's testing that. He said between like noon and like 2 o'clock today, he's going to be testing it. So,
That's
It
probably
would be like
that's
a fun
okay.
thing to
I got whatever I needed to send.
What is going
and
on?
he changed the password too.
Yeah, I got the new password
Okay.
yesterday.
We could talk about the new football helmet rule. It's good.
That'd be awesome.
Oh, yeah,
For
the-
record,
the new
I
rules.
did not get interviewed. I got just handed my job.
That is true. She got
He would not have hired me.
a series of text messages.
Yeah. Let's do
It
this.
was one
The new
day.
rules, there's like half the
I know, I didn't
referees
look
have
at
said,
your
and when they go to the training
stuff,
camps,
I
half
didn't-
of them looked
I
at
just
like
knew
that
you
hit
were
in the
talking.
Super
You could've
Bowl. I
been
watched this on
the
ESPN
biggest
this
piece
morning.
of shit.
Yeah, Malcolm.
Malcolm Jenkins.
Yeah.
And half the referees said, "Okay, yeah, that's an illegal hit." The other half of the referees said, "No, that's that's a legal hit." So
It's a joke.
they're going to have to sort this out in preseason, like what is and what's a catch, and what's the definition of crown of the helmet type hit.
Yep.
You went
That's the NFLs.
What about that?
You know how the guy had to resign from his own company
Oh yeah.
for saying that? I mean, that's
Yeah.
accountability.
Yeah.
I think we can get
I-
10 minutes out of this.
Yeah. We can just kind of stay on the same topic. I'm trying to. There was something else I wanted to share.
Talk about new movies that you enjoy.
Well, I mean, one of the thoughts that I had.
Bring George
during
Wolf
all
in.
This is like, the amount of like we look up to these people. Like Bill Cosby
Right.
was an icon, and it's really makes you question some of the people that you look at and look like they have their life together.
That look like they're a role model.
All right, let's get into that. Let's just do that.
And well,
I'll
Harvey
kick it to
Weinstein
you,
wasn't
and
a
just pick up from that what you just said.
Weinstein wasn't a role model, but somebody like
But he
you
was
said,
to
Bill
somebody.
Cosby, the
People wanna
Kevin
work on him.
Spacey.
Oh, Kevin Spacey. That guy's beyond.
Would you stay on this topic, or you want to totally switch it up?
Let's just go with
Let's
it.
just go with it. Yep. We're just gonna
Okay.
go with it.
We're gonna go with it.
It's over here. Beep. Nope. Where is it?
You're on the wrong end. All right, let's do this.
Okay.
Somebody in the grave put a note. What does that say?
Somebody wrote something.
Whoa, white shirt, brah. Oh, I have it, brah. What's that say? Yabba dabba do?
This is a shirt from the Guardians of the Galaxy
Ah.
that he's wearing. Good job, bro.
Yeah,
Ja, brah.
Yeah.
that's why he was talking about
Shimon.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
I saw
Well, I just
that
happened to
the
be
first
wearing
movie.
it.
I saw Guardians of the Galaxy, and then
Can we talk
Thought
about
it was
Vin
all right.
Diesel's role in that? Like, they act like he's Groot, but all he does is go, "I am Groot." I could do that. What does Vin Diesel do in that movie at all that he?
hey, he's Vin Diesel, and he's famous.
Are you being critical of that movie?
I love that movie, but you
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Like, he's
Yeah.
getting paid like $5 million.
What's he
to go,
doing Fast and Furious?
I am Groot.
This is my family. Oh, this is
He's-
my family. We're a family.
R.I.P. Paul Walker.
We're gonna drive fast.
R.I.P. Paul Walker's car.
Fast and the Furious. They've made like 15 of those movies, haven't they?
There's only 9 more
Him
cars.
and Dwayne, Tyrese.
And they signed
Dwayne-
on for 9 more.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or we could do movie reviews. I just saw Equalizer, which was
I'm gonna
awful.
bring that up. It was awful?
Yeah.
It didn't look like it was going to be
I was like, yeah.
Who's in that?
Yeah, let's do.
Is that
we'll,
Denzel?
We'll do like 3
good.
minutes.
If you decide that you just want to go off on that route, I'll just follow you.
Okay, cool.
Okay,
Yep.
here we go. Welcome back to the 101, brought to you by Lincoln Wallace.
Listen to the dulcet tones
That
of
sounds
Jim.
awesome. I want him to read me my news in the morning.
Thank you very much.
I want him to read all my emails. Your package has been delivered by UPS.
Get in here,
got
Jim. I want
mail.
to do text to speak real quick.
You've got mail. I can't do that's my bad Elwood impression, that guy Elwood. You've got mail.
I used to work with a guy when I worked at the sports station that had Paul Keels do his voicemail and say, "You've reached blah, blah,
That's
blah.
awesome.
He's not here right now. Go Bucks." At the end, and I thought, but he would purposely not pick up the phone, so you had to
So
listen
people
to it.
could
So
hear
it'd be
that.
like,
That
it was
is
cool.
cool.
And I'm like, it's not cool when I've called you 3 times a day.
Yeah.
Like, I get it.
That's
I was
good
that-
having Paul Keels. That's pretty cool.
I was that 14-year-old that did my like family voicemail. I'd be like, "Hello, you've reached the Gillespies," and then everybody like, "Hey, hi," and
Yeah.
they feel stupid. But
Hello?
It's funny.
You're talking to a machine.
It's essentially what we've been doing today.
Yeah, and then
All day
Adele
long.
took my idea with her song.
Yeah.
Hello. Just kidding.
Yeah.
You love Adele, so I thought.
I do. I'm a big fan. of
No,
her
Lionel
and-
Richie stole that way back when.
Yeah, her and Harry Styles. I do want to touch on, I just want to wrap up where we've been going. We were talking about accountability, HR issues. But one of the things we didn't discuss was the whole Papa John's thing. And I was thinking about this from this angle. Jim was talking about the NFL rules and all that. And Papa John's is a major, major sponsor. And they're also a sponsor of the Columbus Blue Jackets. A lot of teams just dropped it all together. Like the Major League Baseball had this thing called the Papa Slam. So if there were grand slams hit, you got a discount on pizza, whatever. That day they dropped it because on a conference call, he says he was tricked into this. He used an inappropriate word to describe people, let's just say. Fired on the spot. So he's suing them. But the issue I was thinking of is that is a lot of revenue. So it probably, can you imagine they have to make that decision? And you're kind of wrong if you don't get rid of that partnership just for a little bit. You can distance
Well,
yourself.
and at that point, how much of the company was his, right? Because I'm sure
I don't know. All I know is he bought that Trans Am or whatever it was back. He seemed like a real good guy.
super good guy.
Anybody who's like rubbing elbows with Jerry Jones, I kind of got,
Yeah.
little
I did
dicey.
like him and Peyton in those commercials, though.
I think Peyton carried him though.
For sure.
I mean, Peyton was like kind of the big deal.
Yeah, Peyton's funny.
But,
I like Peyton Manning, one of my favorite football players.
and excellent at
Agreed.
making pizza, I'm sure.
Oh,
Actually,
man.
I wonder what he did. He owns Papa John's. He owns a bunch of
A
those
bunch
franchises.
of them, yeah. Well, I mean, what do you do in that situation if your business partner does something that
Oh,
you don't agree
that's
with?
a good point. What do you do if your business partner just totally
Yeah.
tanks your business?
I mean, is it Peyton's fault? Do you cut ties? Do you sell out? I mean, at that point,
It's not Peyton's fault, but I would.
Yeah.
I might think about cutting ties if I was
But
him.
think about everybody that affects. When you do something like that, it affects every franchisee. Anybody who's even involved with you is tainted.
Nope. I mean, it made Domino's start to like fix potholes.
Yeah,
You
well,
see this? They're
you know
literally
what?
putting
If you
Domino's.
get a Domino's pizza, you can jam it in any hole basically, and it will adhere itself.
It's
So,
true.
They're fixing streets.
I don't know that you want to eat a lot of it, but you can jam it in holes.
I do like their crust though. Yeah. No, I think to all of this HR stuff, to the Hollywood, to football, to everything, that it really makes you think as a person and as like looking up to role models and people that we grew up with. I grew up watching Bill Cosby with Kids Say the Darndest Things and thought like,
Right.
what a great guy. I mean, he represented everything like a family man. He represented everything that gave the African American culture somebody to look up to.
The Cosby Show.
The
Well,
I mean,
even
that was
families
a
in general, because they were on TV. It was portrayed they were such a tight family, and you
Everybody, right.
admired that.
yeah,
It crossed all boundaries where you're like, that's just a family.
yeah. And then and then you can't even feel bad for his wife at this point, still supporting.
Camille.
Yeah, still supporting him and some of the things that, and it just not just Bill Cosby, but some of these other people. I mean, Kevin Spacey, Morgan Freeman. There was accusations with him. And it just keeps growing and growing, and it really makes you sit back and think like these people that we might look up to. We're looking up to them because we're told that they're doing all these awesome stuff, or
Right.
we see them doing that. But is that really the reality? And it doesn't mean everybody's bad, but we're putting all of our, not trust, but just we look up to them. We
Right.
just do. I mean, you are a big movie buff, right? There's people in those movies that I don't want to say you look up to, but if something happened to them, like if Chris
Pratt.
something came out about him and he's no longer in Guardian of the Galaxy 3, it changes everything.
It is kind of a punch to your gut because I look at it a different way. Having a young daughter, like exposing her to those things, and then there's so much social media and so many TV shows that aren't really TV shows. They're not news. It's like the Demi Lovato thing. I didn't really know who that was because I don't listen to that mess.
That's like,
But she knew who that was.
Yeah.
Like, she was asking me about, heroin and Narcan and all that. And I said, well, pull up a chair. I mean, what am I supposed to say to that?
What'd she overdose?
I believe it was heroin.
Overdose from? Was it heroin?
Did you just
I think it
OD?
was.
Yeah, it's a new thing.
I'm ODing.
And I'm ODing all day.
I believe it was heroin, but she supposedly was not sober to begin with. Or she entered a treatment thing. 6 years later, she had a relapse, but they said this was coming. But again, this is what I can't stand about it is we as a society build somebody up. That's why this Urban Meyer thing was a big deal because when he was at Florida, my sister lived in Florida, and for him building up that program, and he has Tim Tebow, like they're the role model of how things are supposed to
Arguably
work.
the best college football player ever, Tim Tebow.
Right.
And Tebow still is an excellent role model.
But
Yeah.
that's the thing
Nothing's
is,
come out about him. Just like Archie Griffin here at Ohio State. Terrific role model, great human being.
Well, you know how much you go ahead. Did you have something?
No, I was just going to
Oh.
say, you have the ultimate role model for life in general, in this one kid. But as much as you can take credit for his development, right, it's everything else that happened behind him, right? The Aaron Hernandez issues and all that. People knew these were bad guys. Then you move to another school, and there are issues. My point isn't that one person is to blame for all of it, but when you are the head of a company or an organization, you get all the credit, but you also get all the blame.
What does Peter Parker's dad say to him?
With great power comes great
There you go.
responsibility.
And it's true.
his
You get all
uncle.
the fame.
It's Uncle Ben.
Oh, yeah, Uncle
but
Ben.
Uncle Ben bites it early in the comics.
Yeah.
And movies. I think we've seen that.
Bad timing where he was.
Bad neighborhood.
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm Uncle Ben and Aunt May, I'm making some money and I'm getting out of that hood.
Yeah. Once you
But
learn
instead-
that Spider-Man's your
Well, they didn't know
nephew?
that.
I know. He should have told him.
I think that it come full circle.
Plot twist.
Always tell
Plot
the
twist.
truth is what we're
Yeah,
saying.
yes.
Whether you're Urban Meyer or whether you're Peter Parker, you always
You
tell
always
the truth.
tell the truth.
Did you do that on purpose?
What?
Did you circle back to do that on purpose? Because that's pretty brilliant. I'm kind of glad
It
you're
worked
leaving for
out.
Denver.
Well, as soon as I mentioned movies, then I know you.
Oh, I know all about it.
I know.
I don't know anything else.
He's
about
all
it.
over it.
Yeah.
I know. Speaking of movies,
He talks
Oh,
about Dr. Ping on her show, movies, and
She's
she just
never
looks
seen
at
the
him and
movie.
says, "It depends. I don't see movies."
Depends.
Yeah.
You did want to squeeze this out. So
I
go
mean,
ahead.
not really, but I did. Yeah, I was really disappointed. I saw the Equalizer, and it was, oh man, it's not good.
And it was
So-
it was important that we get that out because we're running out
I
of
just-
time. But I know you felt like you had to
I
tell
just want people to know.
Madison gives it 1 star.
Yeah,
Yeah, what
Yeah.
would you give it out of 5 stars?
1.5.
Oh, 1.5. Okay.
Really?
No, I
That's
give it.
terrible.
I would give it a 2, because it's still Denzel. And it's
Out
still
of
sweet.
5?
Well, okay, the first one. If you like, my perfect scenario movie is a guy that comes in, goes untouched, and just murders everybody.
Right.
And the first movie, he was untouchable, and I'm like, this is the greatest movie.
And he
ever.
was doing that with like garden tools. Let's be honest, that was pretty cool.
He shot a nail gun from like 200 yards and hit a guy like in the temple.
I think we've all wanted to do that.
I've done it twice.
Yeah. But so you're saying this one not good.
Yeah, not good.
It does not get DJM seal of approval
It does not. That's actually why I'm leaving the show.
because of that movie.
Because of
that
the
movie.
Equalizer.
Yes.
God, if that's all it took, I would have had them release that in
I'm
May.
going out to direct Equalizer 3.
It'd be amazing.
All right, Madison in
Small budget
Hollywood,
film. It's gonna
director.
be awesome.
Yeah, it's all going to be from your phone.
I just Yes. The first movie ever shot from an iPhone 10.
And Michael, what was the last movie you saw? What rating would you give it?
Well, I saw Teen Titans Go to the Movies at 3:30 on Friday, and then I wrapped it up with Mission Impossible.
Was that good?
How's that one? The new
Was
Mission
it?
Impossible 9, or what are they on now? 5?
They were-
6?
I'm starting to doubt the impossibility of these missions, but
Oh, you mean when he jumps from a skyscraper to another skyscraper and grabs dogs and does
if my ankle wasn't banged up, I'd do it right now. But
Well, it's like Skyscraper. We were walking by Skyscraper to go
The
see
Rock.
Equalizer, and my buddy's like, we should go see that. I go, oh, you mean Dwayne Johnson hanging from 68 floors from a skyscraper by his prosthetic leg?
little known fact,
That's believable.
based on a true story. A little known fact. Just some of the names were changed.
So
That's
it's
it.
The last movie I saw, I'll give a 5. The last movie I saw in theater.
Godfather. 1.
Yeah, 1972. I was about 9 years old. No. The last movie I saw was the last James Bond movie with Daniel Craig, Spectre. I gave that a 5, but
Yep.
I go to the movies like okay, when's the next Bond film coming out? I'm going.
Yeah, there you go.
I have my tickets on Fandango
Godfather
right
4.
now.
Yeah, Jim's saving his $9
Godfather
just
4.
for that next one to come out. Well, listen,
Oh,
this
man.
was the
Good
biggest
times.
train wreck of anything we've ever done.
We needed a show like this, though.
We did
Just
need to
talk
kind of
about-
get it out because I had notes on our guest that was supposed to be here, but we pulled it out in the end, and I'm sorry for anybody that paid attention.
Me
to this.
too. If you're still watching this,
Yeah, Jim, would you like
And
to
we
give an
will
apology?
rebook our guest.
Yeah,
yes.
maybe.
Yeah.
Well, Madison, thanks for
Yeah.
first of all, thanks for going into these terrible topics today.
Yes.
But also giving
It
us
was
an
a pleasure.
update on where Lincoln Wallace
Yeah.
is.
Thanks for letting me share. And I'll be back, but for the time being, in case I.
And thanks, Rachel, for the yummy drinks.
Yeah.
And Rachel brought up some really good points today. I really appreciate her.
She really comes in strong when
She
she
does.
says, I don't want to talk today.
Yeah.
And it's fantastic.
It
because
is.
Anytime someone leaves me in the lurch and I look at her, she goes, I'll be on the couch.
And
So,
secretly, we're like, perfect. We didn't want you to talk.
EA Sports. All right, well, that's going to wrap it up. And I guess next week we'll figure out who the sponsor of the 101 brought to you by Lincoln Wallace is.
I like it.
Yep, you've been listening to the 101 brought to you by Lincoln Wallace. Ta-da!
How do I end this? Oh.
Tuna.